Welcome back, it's Nick.
And Sak.
Here with more future Stronghold community Q&A goodness. Today we're going to be once again taking your questions about future games in the Stronghold series, including one currently in pre-production here at Firefly, no matter how ridiculous and personal these questions get. Last time we covered everything from my insane back of a napkin design for a Stronghold AR game to more serious topics like possible platforms and game features. And don't worry, they've already vetoed my idea for Stronghold Pokemon Go clone. That's dead in the water, so RIP on that. I'll get over it eventually. We hope you enjoyed that video, which if you haven't seen, go check it out now. If you have already seen it, you can join us right now for another round of early community questions about the future of the Stronghold series. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Question 10. Are there going to be any new visual effects, such as blood?
So we actually have blood. It's quite difficult to do in an RTS because it needs to be noticeable enough without making combat completely impossible to read. So if you have hundreds of units sort of drawing blood, you either end up with like red mist or just like the ground, rivers of the stuff, right? Like the battle of the word that I can't say in Game of Thrones. With the change in engine, there's a pretty good opportunity here to kind of like look at the level of kind of visual detail that we offer. And maybe with that higher fidelity, it'll be easier for us to do that. We want to display these effects for players, but we don't want to interrupt gameplay. So can't say for sure yet. Keep an eye on development and, mention it in the comments because it's something that we'll be keeping an eye on.
Question 11. Will new Stronghold games have tournaments?
So I think tournaments definitely and quite safely come under medieval Vuzel factor, which is something that's always going to be a priority regardless of the setting or the time period. They were in Stronghold 2, and we're constantly looking at opportunities to include this kind of like beautiful detail and historical sort of almost like Easter eggs, in the series as much as possible and incorporate it into gameplay. Crusader has always been a great game in that regard. It's always had great flavor. More recently, Warlords allowed us to explore historical entertainment, but also, this is going to sound quite morbid, torture and how they went about that in East Asia. And anyone who followed the development of Warlords know that this kind of thing is a huge priority. We say Vuzel factor in pretty much every video. So we'll be looking at that going forward and trying to add as much as possible and actually have it impact the gameplay if we can.
So Stronghold and torture go hand in hand.
They do, they do.
Question 12. Will there be moats?
I mean, moats are always on my mind. I was thinking about them earlier today.
Question 13. How large will the maps be?
Oh, sorry, maps. Yes, map sizes, absolutely understandable consideration for RTS players. I think people understand that they don't want to be traveling, hours before reaching a certain point on the map, be that an enemy or a resource.
Or a job.
Commuting sucks. They want the gameplay to be tight and maps shouldn't feel like deserted or barren or anything like that. So we have in the past and we'll continue to make our maps bigger, at least as an option for players who really want that. How that's going to be relative to other games I can't say at the moment, but we know that it's a consideration for people and we'll do as much as we can. I think there's another consideration here, which is making players feel as big as possible. Within the confines of gameplay for a particular title, we want to give players enough room to castle build. I think that's like a key thing going forward. Players want to feel like they're unrestricted, they have freedom to build. That's a key piece of feedback that we've taken on, recently. We're going to be mindful with that in the series going forward, making it feel, the castle experience and castle building experience feel really unrestricted. It's definitely too early to say, what map sizes are going to be or, give you any kind of scale. But we do appreciate the core issues here, how they specifically relate to Stronghold and what people loved about the 2D titles in that regard. So we're kind of doing whatever we can, across all areas, across the board, when it comes to making maps feel big and making castle building feel unrestricted and freeform.
Next question, and a lot of people have asked me this. Will you do all the voices?
Yes, every single voice, regardless of gender. It'll be like classic Shakespeare on stage. apart from the dressing up part. I'm not doing that.
All right, fair enough.
But I'll hit all the octaves that you want, high or low. I'm there.
I prefer if you do them all in the same voice.
Just monotone.
Conversations are just the same monotone voice. Question 14. Will the next game be a continuation of the warlord system?
Yeah, so Stronghold's kind of, in its various forms, always had something fairly similar to the warlord system, albeit not quite as fully featured. Stronghold had the estate system, so that was kind of already in the DNA of the series when we came up with the warlord system. I think specifically in relation to what we did in Warlords, and in terms of revisiting it, I think to do another Warlord system in the same way that it was presented in that game, we'd essentially have to do a sequel in order to really kind of continue our design goals there and the philosophy there and what we were trying to accomplish. This isn't to say that in other games we won't have anything like that system, but I think for it to be at the forefront of the experience, like in the title of the game, as it was with Warlords, it would have to be a Warlords 2. And I think honestly, after 20 years of developing these games, we're constantly looking for opportunities to incorporate legacy systems and features into new titles. Assuming we have the means to do so and they fit in with the design of a new game. You'll have to wait and see, but I think the Warlord system falls into just the bracket of like, we look at our legacy features, 20 years worth of legacy features, and we go, which ones are absolutely essential for a Stronghold game and which ones are best for certain entries in the series.
So look forward to 2 Stronghold, 2 Warlords.
Yep. It wouldn't be a Firefly video without a Fast and Furious reference.
Question 15. How long will the campaign be?
So unfortunately at the moment, obviously way too early to be talking about game modes, so sorry about that, but I will say we've taken a long look back at the levels of content, in the previous games, and that's game modes, that's units, that's everything, and really sort of taken stock of like the number of modes, maps, features, everything else in past titles. We want to strike a balance between doing a good number of these and just not like throwing the kitchen sink in. That's another expression that I'm not sure of the etymology on, but we'll come back to that. Our aim is to provide the amount of content that fans, who could have been following the series for 2 decades, quite fairly expect. To really focus in on like what's important to them, what works for this particular title, and what we think we can really deliver on, depending on the setting, depending on the iteration and all that kind of stuff. We want to make those modes and features be, really relevant, really earn their place and make sense within each title. We've done that. We've looked at like community surveys, as I said, we looked at past games in the series, and it does feel at this point like we really understand what people expect, and we're just kind of now just getting our heads down and trying to kind of deliver on that. So yeah, long way of saying, haven't got an answer at the moment, and I don't know where the term kitchen sink came from.
Yeah, I don't know either. Words are made up. They don't make sense. Question 17. Will the next Stronghold have mod support?
I think what I would say is that we are, we value things like the map maker. We're going to try and maintain that and, the community around that as much as possible. There are like thousands of maps for Warlords and Crusader 2, maybe possibly tens of thousands of maps for the older games. We're really amazed by what people can do on that front. It's just, it's insane. It's an easy win for us. It means that, you've finished the campaign or you've finished skirmish mode or whatever kind of like the main game mode is, and you go, okay, I want to play Helm's Deep, or I want to go Siege Minas Tirith or whatever, and you can just 90% of the time just go and download that without even thinking about it. So that's really enjoyable for us and for the community itself. So at this stage, that feels like a really vital part of Stronghold, and it kind of, the map side of things feels like almost as essential as a lot of the core features. When it comes to like traditional modding, we're constantly evaluating, what's on that front. We obviously keep an eye on stuff like the UCP patch for Crusader, which we recently spotlighted here on YouTube. Massive respect to the talented people who put that together. There are like Lord of the Rings mods, I think for Stronghold 2. Right now we're focused on the core game, but we are keeping one eye on that, and who knows what the future will bring.
Bonus question, can you launch cows from catapults?
Catapults? Talk to me about the superior siege engine.
Which is?
Trebuchets, obviously. He's fired.
Very good.
Question 19. Will there be a first-person view, GTA style?
I can say that, you know, we are constantly aware of the fact that people want additional zoom levels. You know, I think Legends had like a third-person view Easter egg, and like a few other kind of like games of this ilk have had first-person views. I think we're kind of doing everything we can to make people happy on the sort of like attention to detail front and being able to like zoom in and appreciate their castle from, you know, as many angles as possible. What we're hoping to do is to allow people to appreciate their built castles and the level of kind of inner working and the Vuzel factor, you know, more than you have been able to do in the past. I can't say for sure exactly what that means, whether it's like GTA style first person view or like an Easter egg or additional zoom controls. You know, I can't say at the moment, but we want you to be able to, you know, it's a castle building game. You want to be able to build and admire your castle and your subjects, and we get that, you know, whether it's like from up on high to see your entire plot or really, really close to see a peasant scratching his ass.
I want to torture my peasants up close and personal.
or up close and personal torture, yeah, all that. So there we have it, enough community Q&A answers to fill a castle moat. If your question was featured in today's video, then thank you very much for submitting it to us. And if not, please remember that at this early stage, we may still be unable to answer certain questions from players. If you watched today's video and feel like there might be questions around certain topics that we can discuss, please do let us know. Comment below, ping us on Discord, and everyone here at Firefly will do our best to answer them either in the comments themselves or in future videos of this nature. That's all from us here today, however, so if you enjoyed this sneak peek at the future of the Stronghold series, give the video a like, and of course, subscribe to us here on YouTube with notifications turned on for the most up-to-date Stronghold and Romans Age of Caesar news.